Alistair, obviously we've known each other for a little bit of time now. I'm so excited to have you with us today, just to talk about, introduce yourself to everyone, but also to find out more about the things that we've been discussing, about what we're going to take to market, both between your consulting firm and Annapurna, to hopefully help people, and why maybe we feel that this is valuable at this moment. There's a lot going on in the world and in business. So tell us a bit more about you.
Well, yeah, thank you. Great to be here. I'm a mindset and performance coach, but it's not what I've done all my life. I spent 24 years working in the city as an equity sales trader, and realised actually for the last 3 or 4 years of that, maybe a bit more actually, that there had to be something more. There had to be something that I was aligned with that was beyond the Groundhog Day of existence that I was living. In the office at 6:30, home for 6. Anytime you had these spurts of inspiration to do something, a course or something new, it was kind of battered out of you after a while, unless you did it immediately. If you left it to the next day, or next thing it's a week, a month, 6 months later. So, and then I was lucky enough to be able to leave in 2019. And then for me, it was just the best thing that had ever happened, because I was able to just take a pause. We don't get often, get a chance to do that. And then just go, what is it that I really want to do? And there was some huge self-discovery, but at the very core of it, I had a career coach who was like, you need to know what your values are. Let's understand those, and then they will trickle down to everything. Right. Understand those core 5, let's say 5 or 6 values, and then we go, okay, what organization can you work for? What's important for you? How do you feel in these situations? It was the hardest thing I ever did, because I had never been to therapy. I'd never had a coach before, apart from a sporting coach. And so I had to go inside, look inside and try and work out. And it was interesting. I said, well, give me a list. And she said, okay, well, here's a list of 30. And I was like, okay. She said, by next week, get it down to 10. I was like, no problem, I can do that. But the week together, we're going to get it from 10 to 7. Then you're going to go away and get it from 7 down to 5. But those 5 must be the 5 that if I put a gun to your head, they're your 5 core values. Those, if I cut you open, those are your essence. That was hard. But the joy of understanding who I was, for the first time, and not what people told me I was.
I was instantly struck when I first met Alistair there was something about you that did feel different. I got this random text. So Alistair and I got to know each other through cricket, of all things. So we both coach cricket, which is a big passion of both of ours. We both have children that play. And I think Alistair come along to a session after that we'd done, and I got this text. I'd send him a message, hey, great to see you, great to see your child. And he was like, James, you look tired. And I was like, whoa. I was like, nobody's ever sent me, because we didn't know each other. I was like, nobody's ever sent me a message like that. And you know what? I was pretty tired, and I am the sort of person that probably feel I can communicate with people. So we started talking about, my feelings, and I just found your angle was like, it was really sort of interesting. So, given your mindset enablement sort of business, I did feel like there was a big opportunity for us, because we really believe in, in partnership, looking after people. And there seems to me that there's so many people out there that need help, that they're struggling. The world's always been a tough place, but it does feel like a particularly tough place at the moment. We've had all these, these changes in industry and all these pressures that are coming on us all. And I just feel we can do something to help people. So Alistair and I sort of agreed that we would retain, his services and his consulting business to go out to select people that might benefit from sessions that, that Alistair would deliver for them. And we've had some great feedback, but what's your take on why are we in this situation? Why is everything so tough, and how do we get through it, as individuals, as a group?
One of the most interesting things is how many positive news articles we need to read or hear about to outweigh just one negative. It's between 6 to 10, right? So the one thing that we've seen, why we're in this situation at the moment, and this is why I'm really worried about the younger generation, is the mobile phone. right? But also we've got the 24-hour news service these days anyway, which doesn't help. But you can't even have an option whether to watch the TV or not. But if you've got it coming through your phone, suddenly you're getting through a subconscious level, you see headlines, whether it be, earthquake in Japan, something going in Gaza, something going on somewhere around the world. When we were growing up, you wouldn't hear about it.
No.
Right? You may watch the 9 o'clock news. Unlikely. Why would you? And so therefore you just wouldn't hear about it. And therefore we grew up in this kind of bubble of innocence, I suppose, where it was far more localized. And I know that makes me sound really old, and in part I am, but that was the difference. And now something happens 8,000 miles away, we hear about it instantly, and it's never necessarily a good thing.
No.
So therefore, what we're doing is we're carrying around this constant source of negative information. Okay, so we look at the world. We haven't changed. We know that. But yet technology and the inputs we're having from the moment we open our eyes has completely changed.
Yeah.
All of our cognitive load is taken with making decisions because we're faced with all this data coming in, terabytes of data every day.
Yeah.
And when our brains aren't able to do it, but we think we can because we feel we can do anything we like. But there's a real cost. There's a mental health cost and there's a physical health cost.
Yeah.
And that's what we're really seeing now, especially because you've had these black swan events. Over the last 5 years, go back even look, the financial crisis. Nobody really predicted that. I mean, some people did, if you've ever watched The Big Short. But, suddenly you have these big events that seem to be cropping up more frequently and never allow people to get back onto the firm footing.
Yeah.
But, and so work and companies are wanting more from people.
Yeah.
You've got this ridiculous hybrid working where before you were going into the office 4 or 5 days a week and that was fine. And then when you're not in the office, that's fine. Of course, the mobile phone comes in, the email comes in, and so suddenly people are on the hook the whole time. You're getting emails from your boss at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And because we look at our phones, this comes in and it triggers our amygdala, our fight or flight response, right, in our brain. I've got to look at it. Even though it's 9 o'clock at night and you shouldn't be looking at it. You've got to look at it, right? Oh, now I need to respond. So then you're engaging your brain to try and respond at 9 o'clock at night because it's your boss, right? Or you're being CC'd on some ridiculous email that you probably shouldn't have been on.
Yeah.
Then that impacts your sleep, right? So how do people get through that? Well, they tend to numb themselves. They scroll. They have too many drinks because it just makes them feel. They even sitting down to watch Netflix. We know that the brain, if you sit down at night, it will almost be split into two, where part of you is relaxing, the part of you, with scene changes in films or TV programs you're watching, detects that as a threat. So part of your brain is engaged.
We're never switching off.
You're never switching off. And you sit there with, let's say, a nice glass of wine or a beer or whatever it is, and you go, oh, it's fine, because it helps me sleep.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, actually. 3 glasses of wine in the evening drops your sleep quality by 40%, right? Now, we are sleepwalking as a population, as a world, because somebody said, I'll sleep when I die. Right? We don't need as much sleep. If we could focus on, there's 2 things to really focus on. How we breathe, the most important, and how we sleep. How we breathe impacts how we sleep. And if we can get the right number of hours sleep, we are good to go, right? But we also need to have boundaries.
Yeah.
And that's where we're really seeing is the boundaries have gone because you're in the office, you're at home.
Yeah.
And so when you're at home, you don't have a cut-off.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's great. Great start. I think you then compounds that in terms of what I do, which is I work alongside the HR community, and HR is under more pressure as a function than ever. There's been so much change and evolution within organizations, in terms of the pandemic, and then how do we get people to continue working, and then this massive spike in terms of demand post-pandemic, and now over the last sort of year and a half we've seen the layoff sort of piece, and it's just these people are at the center of all of that. And the people I come into contact with, I mean, they do an admirable job, but it takes its toll, you know. And then you have obviously a lot of people that have been thrust or displaced into unemployment. And then it's sort of like, you know, like you said, I've been on this treadmill for 10, 15, 20 years, and suddenly you're out of it, and it's like, okay, who am I?
Yeah.
Where am I going? I see so many people that are struggling almost with their, not identity, but maybe their direction.
Yeah,
They're really not knowing what to do and where to go, which is where I thought we could do some really good work together.
No, I mean, it really is. It is their identity. Who am I? Because I've been living. You know, we go through different phases, you know, through our life, and you know, we are a school child for a bit, then we are a university student, and then we are, you know, a worker, and then we are maybe a husband or a wife or whatever it is. And so there are these little stages that society loves us to put us in these boxes. But when we stop and breathe, and we just pause and we go, hold on a second, I've been doing all this all my life for other people because somebody told me I'm good at this. But do I really like it? So one of the key questions I always like to ask is, what gives you great joy? What is it when you were younger, when you were a kid, that gave you great joy? Often people will get it in an instant. You know, there was a woman I was talking to a while ago, and she said horse riding. And you could just see her shoulders relax. And she took this big sigh, and she was like, oh. I said, well, when was the last time you went horse riding? She was like, oh, I don't know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, because I've got kids now. And, you know, she was a high-powered banker, and I've got, you know, a husband to kind of look after, and then the kids, and we're in a house, and, you know, and I said, but how about I told you that in the next month, you can go horse riding, somewhere beautiful, New Forest or somewhere like that. She was like, oh my God, that'd be amazing. I said, okay, well, but she said, I don't have time. It's that whole time thing. And I said, well, let's plan something so that in the next month, or give you even 2 months, you could get an afternoon to go horse riding. How would that make you feel? She was like, oh, that would be incredible. You know, I'm like, okay, let's get it done. You know, and the annoying thing is, you have those kind of insight moments with people, but then, in a way, it's on them to move forward and get it done.
Yeah,
but actually, where I come in is that hand-holding. I'm going, okay, let's keep this dialogue going. Have you done it? How can we do it? Let's sit down and work out where you would like to go ride a horse. You know, if you like art, is there, you know, art lessons you can go to. Music, pick up your guitar. And that's the thing, we've forgotten about what gave us joy, what gives us true happiness, because we're now fixated on, well, you know, we all live in London, right? But it's how expensive everything is. You know, that I have to do something. Those insidious words that are, I need to, I must, I have to. But, you know, it'd be nice to choose. You know, there's a different energy in just changing your language a little bit. I choose to do something. I get to do something. I love to do something. You know, and catching yourself when you say, I have to go, oh, I don't. I get to do this. There's a different energy that comes to it. And, you know, for me, it's all about energy. It's all about protecting energy as well.
So if somebody was watching this and thinking, you know, this is resonating with me, what are you looking for something that you feel would be ready to go on this journey? Is it everybody, or do you need to be in a particular state of mind, do you think, to be able to do this?
Well, you know, so many people think that they have to hit rock bottom before they make complete change. You know, and I would love not to have people hitting rock bottom, because there's no other option. I'd love them to go, actually, you know what? I've always dreamed about doing this. I've always thought there could be a greater purpose in my life than doing what I have been doing. And it's those mavericks, those outliers, those people that are going, just that spark where they can feel that their spark has been dulled for so many years, and they go, yeah, I wonder. Forget about the mortgage. I know it's easy to be said. Forget about the school fees. Forget about all of that sort of stuff. It's the idea, the concept that, you know, I talk about the exponential curve, which is a technology curve related to the power of chips. And if you think about your life being along this flat bed, it's a bit like compound interest. You don't really notice it until suddenly it's up this curve. So what I want people to think about is going, well, I'm here. What does my optimum life look like? How does it feel? I don't want to think about the houses, the cars, the boats, whatever. That's not. How does it feel? How would I feel if my life was, in a way, optimum? Right? Forget about what the neighbours are doing. Forget about the peer pressure from school, whatever it is, or the school parents. What would make me really happy? Okay, well, let's start bringing that into your life now. Let's bring it back from up here into now, and bring it into thing. And yeah, we're all able to continue growing and learning and changing, but it's just having that little spark. So who can make the change? Anybody can make the change, but they just need to remember who they were before this seriousness of being an adult overtook.
Or who they could be, and they maybe haven't reached that potential, right?
I mean, none of it, we're all working towards a potential of being somebody, but work out, because, many people push back and go, oh, but I need to pay the mortgage, or I need to pay the school fee. Sure, I get that. I'm not saying quit your job and do nothing, right? And that's not what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm saying let's bring something else into your life that gives you that dynamic balance, something that you love doing that gives you more perspective. Now, I know for sure down the line you'll find something else you really want to do, which actually will give you a much better work-life balance, much better, more passion in your life, and you'll continue learning. And actually, I reckon you'll earn more money doing it. Right? But even if you don't earn more money, you'll be much happier doing it.
So, Alistair, as I say, I work with in the HR industry, trying to build relationships with organisations that are often going through change and people that have to deliver that change. And for me, that seems like it's a very, very tough job for an individual to carry out. The impact of having to let people go, often that you might have been really close to, that must be really draining, I think. And I know that, people I talk to, they find it difficult. They're obviously ultra professional about it, but there hasn't been any let off over the last 3 or 4 years. It's been constant. So what do you think that means in terms of the mental health for the people that are having to live it? How do they find that space maybe, or what does that mean?
Look, I think the hardest thing is, they are asked to be doing their job, which is to manage the individuals within the organisation. But when you're going through so much change and so much, rounds of layoffs, it takes a huge emotional toll, and the problem is who's supporting them, right? Because they tend to be the ones that are the mother figure, the father figure that is looking after their flock, as it were, looking after all the people within the organisation to make sure they are as happy and as aligned as they possibly can be. Now, that in itself is an incredibly hard job, but who's looking after them? That's the thing that I'm finding, is that they're giving and giving and giving, but to the detriment of their own self. I always like to say that if, you must, and I think I'm not the first person to say it, but you must fill your own bucket up first and keep that full, and then you give out of the second bucket. And I think one of the things, especially in HR, is that people are drawn to the industry because they want to help people. They are a people person, and therefore they by their very nature they want to give, and look after. But often it's to the detriment of themselves, and that is something that I'm really seeing at the moment. Where, let's for these people to be the high performance individuals that they need to be, they need to have the support, because, and often they'll say, oh, I don't need anything, but actually they do.
And it's okay to say, what, I'm finding this really tough and I need a little bit of help, which I think people find difficult to do. But
it's hard in this environment, right? Because you don't want to emit any signs of weakness, right? Vulnerability, because
especially in that role.
Because you're the one that's supposed to have all the stuff sorted out, right? But actually, creating a program where you're actually going in and supporting these people and allowing them to release that pressure valve just allows them to be able to go, okay, you know what, this is what I have to do. Because they're not just impacting one person, they're impacting lots of people, but they're having to do it all the time, and having to constantly be thinking about what is, how do we keep people aligned with the vision and the mission of the company, plus also allowing them as individuals to have the wellness and the security and the safety of being a part of an organization.
Yeah. And what's been amazing for me is obviously we have made some introductions to a few people who started sort of talking, working with, and I have some amazing feedback, on the work that's going on, which is great. I said to you, if we just change one person's life, then it's worth doing. Yeah. But, I do feel like we've got an opportunity to help a number of people out there. So I'm really excited to.
It's a second order impact, right? So if you think about a still lake, you're manifesting change in somebody, and it's like throwing a stone into the middle of this lake, and there's ripples that will reach all sides of this lake, small ripples. But so that's what hopefully we can try and do. And thanks for really allowing this partnership to kind of evolve. Is if we can make change in one person, then it's not just them, it's the people they're around, it's their friends, it's their family, it's this ripple effect. And then suddenly friends of theirs will come up to you and go, oh my God, you look different. What is it about you? You go, oh my God, I'm doing this. Wow. Can you tell me how I do that? And that's how you make the change. And that's hopefully what we can do.
Well, thanks, mate. It's been a pleasure to start this with you, and one of the reasons why we're here today is just to let more people know about it, so we can hopefully impact more lives. And obviously, if you are interested to connect with Alistair or I about it, please do message us. We would love to talk to you. So yeah, thank you, mate. It's really exciting.
That's a pleasure.